Ladies and gentlemen, this is your wake-up message. The global Islamic terrorists say and then do exactly what they say and then what they'll do. They're predictable. Here is what they say from a government document from 1991. We must settle Islam and its movement in the North American part of the world. Our movement must plan and obtain keys and the tools to carry out this grand mission of civilization jihadist, which lies on the shoulders of the Muslim Brotherhood in this country. America, prepare for an internal warfare type struggle here in the United States. There's no reason to disbelieve nor play the tomfoolery game of I won't live in fear. Stop being useful fools for the liberal Marxist ideology that cannot work in this particular day and age. This message was not and is not a conspiracy. I have with me to develop this issue somebody who's worked very hard at this, Marie Zere from Alert Long Island, which is a chapter of ACT for America. Hi, Marie.
Hello.
So, who are you and how did you get involved in this?
Well, it started when a friend of mine sent me the document. I know it as the Muslim Plan. And this document was sent to me because he is involved in the intelligence community. I received it in 2007, but I didn't know what to do with it because I had nobody to have a discussion with. I waited, I kept it, and then shortly thereafter, a book came out by Bridget Gabrielle, and it was Because They Hate, which was all about radical Islam. I started to read it, and I got so upset, I put it down. All of a sudden, the years go by, and now we have ISIS on our tail. We have, it was my friend Ken Greenberg who brought me to my first Act for America chapter, and that was about 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, and we decided to have our own chapter because it was so serious. What was going on is a jihad, it's a civilization jihad from within, where it causes chaos, disharmony, pitting people against each other. Similar to, I might add, something that's going on today is the Black Lives Matter movement. Now that movement is actually a Muslim movement, and you could check it out on the internet. Muslim Ark is the name of the company or the organization that has a table of contents with all kinds of directives, and these directives are at police brutality, how to handle it, what to do, and it mentions Ferguson and Baltimore in it.
When I first looked at that, and I did look at it because you mentioned it,
Yes.
I talked to a few of my liberal friends about it, and they completely laughed me off the face of the phone because they have no concept of what is actually going on, apparently.
Yeah.
And when I brought up this issue to other people who are even conservative, found it hard to believe that was so.
Well, they have to look it up and see it on the screen for themselves.
Well, you know, some websites don't do it justice, and my question to you only is that how do we verify that? I'm not even sure it can be verified.
It is verified.
It's
yeah.
verified.
You just take a look at the actual document itself and the table of contents. I printed it out, and just study it, and you will see clearly what was done in Ferguson and Baltimore was under the directive of Muslim Ark. It's just a fact.
It's not visible. If you know that and that website is up, how is it that the media is not catching on to that? Do you have any idea?
I don't think they want to catch on.
So the program is pretty much about a plan to impose Sharia law, so we're going to have to do a little bit of explanation of what Sharia law is.
Sure.
What do you know about it, and how can we describe it?
Well, Sharia law is the lack of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which includes dancing, music, playing a musical instrument, poetry of any kind. It also is the brutality for women, where women are allowed to be beaten.
Right.
There are many items under Sharia law that are very restrictive.
You're not allowed to think, do any critical thinking.
No critical thinking, no criticism of Islam. Actually, it's written that you can never criticize Islam or be killed.
Be killed if you don't.
Or be killed, yes.
There's no water, no theater of expression.
No theater.
So all of the things that we would say are constitutionally ours as Americans, and primarily in the First Amendment, but goes a little bit beyond that when you're talking about the brutality of how women are treated.
Yes.
Will not be available if and when, and we do still want to say if, the Muslims are successful with Sharia law in this northern half of America.
Well, they've been successful so far in many areas. For instance, asking for a prayer room in a school, automatically submitting to Sharia. The school is submitting. They don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
There are, by the way, there are 80 Sharia courts in Great Britain, and they're trying to bring Sharia in parts of the United States.
A Sharia court, I can't imagine what that's like.
Can't imagine.
Justifying any of these things means that something is punishable to the laws of the Sharia court. I'm not sure what that's like. But
yeah, in one instance that I recall reading about was that if a woman is raped and she is defending herself, there has to be several men that are the witnesses. I don't recall how many, but it's impossible for her to deny it, and now she's a disgrace.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know a few Muslims personally, one of them that's part of my mediation council, and she verified what Marie is talking about now, that there is no assigning of a fault of a perpetrator of rape. So you can get out of that easily.
Right.
So there are no rapists. They're just women who are now used as, in her case, it was like a secondary wife.
Yes, they have no
second wives.
Right.
You become a second wife to everybody else.
You know, my first experience with radical Islam or with the Islamists was, I was in Azerbaijan back in 1985, 86. And when I visited there, unbeknownst to me, I was walking around in the hotel. I didn't see any women. My daughter and I were walking around, and the men spit on us and were very angry at us that we were walking around or feeling free, having a
cover.
freedom. Yeah, and we didn't know at that time what it meant, but obviously the women were at home, and then I started to realize, put two and two together, and realize that there were no rights that a woman has, and we were told that we were lower than dogs. We were told that, and I'll never forget it.
We currently use the second-class citizen as some of what we say as Americans, what the Islamic fundamentalists how they treat women, or second class.
Yes.
So there's also some infiltration at the college level. For the longest time at the high school and elementary school level, public schools have been ridding themselves of anything religious, like the birthright, the picture of the manger, or anything else, or anything religious at all. So that's been going on for a long time.
Yes.
This is the first time, after talking to you about this, that I see that connection is real to me. I could never figure out why the school systems, public school systems, would diminish Christianity's opportunity to show, to have a First Amendment right even, to advertise an Easter bonnet or anything else for that matter that has anything to do with religion. So there's an implication. So the colleges have been notoriously run by liberal professors.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing. They even have these. You want to tell people about this free speech area that doesn't work, or this?
Well, you have to realize that the Saudis are donating millions and millions of dollars to our colleges. And that has a lot to do with the programs and what they're able to say and not able to say. So they changed the curriculum at request. The Saudis have been behind this. I believe it was over $20 million given to our different colleges in one of the years.
That's one?
It's substantial.
Yes, that's a lot of money. Now, go into a little bit more about the revisionist historians. In the past, I remember things that we took for granted in history, reading old textbooks, are no longer in the textbooks. How could history change?
Well,
and why is it changing? And do they have something to do with this?
I personally believe they're behind it. The Muslim Brotherhood has been here since 1961. And let me digress for a moment and tell you about the Muslim Student Association, which was formed in 1963. Right now, there are 650 Muslim student associations throughout the country on our college campuses.
600?
650, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very influential. The textbook situation is that's serious because history is being changed. Christianity and Judaism is being removed and replaced with the 5 pillars of Islam, and you could see a great influence of Islam in the textbooks. And I found out just yesterday that Pearson Publishing, which is a major publishing company for books, scholastic books, is owned in Britain by the Muslim Brotherhood. And they control what's going in our books, but it's very subtle.
Does this publishing company have anything to do with what is in the American new text? Are the new textbooks saying that Pearson Publishing is the
Well, they're
author
not
of-
saying it. Obviously, there are groups of people in various parts of the country that are catching on to this. Texas, for instance, has a Texas reform, textbook reform project, and they were very successful. They managed to push Prentice Hall to change their books because they were changed by the Islamic Council. Now, the Islamic Council is an organization that must approve all of our textbooks in America. Most people don't know that.
And I also saw something about 800 Jews were beheaded. They said that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping topics a little bit here. Got my
Well,
numbers
you know
too
what
close
that.
together.
You know what that is. I think what you're referring to was there were 2 versions of the Quran. One is Mecca, which is peaceful and loving, and then Muhammad left for about 13 years and tried to get people to believe he was a prophet. And he went to the Jews and he asked, "Would you recognize me as a prophet?" They said no. So, and this one particular day, he and his 12-year-old wife witnessed 800 Jews beheaded.
A 12-year-old
Yes,
wife.
right. And all of the Jews were wiped out by the time Muhammad died. He didn't have any enemies left.
When you say all, I mean, how could you measure where all are? I mean,
These according to the
yeah.
doctrine.
Oh, I see. Okay. You know, experientially, I've had 3 events where I was near or fairly close to, within hours of some of the Islamic attacks that have happened here in this area. One of them was in Jamaica, Queens, where that guy with the axe
Oh,
attacked the cop. I
Yes.
was near that event when it happened. Another was I was in Boston last week when the Boston massacre from another Muslim saying.
wow.
So, and the other one was it was all of a sudden it's slipping my mind what the other one was. But when you're that close, the cops that were killed in Brooklyn, I was there actually the next day, not the
Yes.
same day, but the next day. So I'm fairly close in proximity. Who am I? Nobody. I'm just traveling along.
Yeah.
And if I've had 3 incidences where I could say Muslim terrorist activity has
Yeah.
occurred,
Yes.
I'm going to say other people are going to fall into that same realm sooner or later.
Well, it just so happens my office is in Ronkonkoma, right off of Lakeland Avenue and Ocean Avenue, across the street from my office. In December of 2015, there was a Federal Express driver that stopped in one of our clients' offices. The client happened to be from Sri Lanka, so he's dark-skinned. The FedEx driver assumed he was a Muslim and started to brag to him that he couldn't wait to take out his sword and behead the infidels. He was very shaken about it, and he wound up calling the FedEx company, and they moved him to a different shift in a different location, so he's still riding around. I personally made a call to the FBI to report it. So they're here, and they're waiting for the nod.
So they go. How is it that they can occupy so much land that's here in America? I mean, they're going to do it, I think, piece by piece like they're doing it now for quite a while.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them on September 31st having some kind of element that would, that would happen to. The reason why I'm mentioning that is the invisibility. We're becoming blinded to what's around us.
Yes.
And we're also not paying attention in a discerning way to be able to see that there is or isn't a threat, a real threat.
Yes.
Some of the language I hear from the left is that we're not going to live in fear. I just saw something on TV. Jon Stewart had said, with a smile on his face, and it seems like the left learns from comedy before it learns from reality.
Yes.
What is it that we can? Why are we going to be afraid? He said, We're not going to live in fear, and there isn't going to be any immigration onslaught that's going to put us in danger. Or the exact words I don't remember now.
Yes.
But I was thinking, well, how foolish can we be?
Yeah.
That it's around you.
Yes.
It's even in the documents you read. I mean, this document we talked about before, this plan, there's a lot of immigration issues that line themselves up with what's been happening in the plan.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about France, Germany, and Sweden.
Yes.
I saw some videos about the influx of refugees.
Yes.
Some of the people that I know on the left said that's propaganda.
Yep.
Now, I've seen the pictures. It doesn't look like propaganda to me.
It isn't propaganda.
And in a 2-year period, Sweden went from like 0 in the rape world to the world's rape leader. And they had 90,000 immigrants come over, and all of a sudden they're the bad guys. So these things are happening now.
They're
not
happening.
happening for any other reason other than that one, right?
Well, even in Iceland, we never hear anything about Iceland. There are thousands of rapes there because many of them migrated to Iceland. It's a very serious situation, yeah. And as for Germany, I have a friend in Germany who is a Christian activist. She's a woman her name is Heidi Marie Mund. She is on Facebook, and we communicate every week about what's going on in Germany. She tells me that people are leaving Germany. The families are leaving. They're looking for a place to go. And at one point, they were thinking of going to Canada, but now they know that Canada is really in the same position. They're going to go down right after Europe.
The infiltration from the southern border, Trump is talking about building a wall. And, we certainly do need to slow down get a handle on our immigration issue. Otherwise, if we don't have borders, we don't have a country.
Right.
The northern border is much larger and less patrolled.
That's right.
And more impossible to build a wall.
Yes.
And with Canada letting that many people come on board, I'm going to say that we have a massive problem right out in front of us.
Yes. Yes, we do. And there are 1,000 immigrants coming in a plane every single day.
Into
Canada.
Into Canada, yeah, yes. That's what I keep hearing.
Yes. And they are slowly infiltrating the United States. They're coming on snowmobiles, they're walking across, but they're starting to trickle down from the north, which is part of the plan. And if you look at the immigration itself, and you look at a map, you will notice that the 4 corners of the United States are the target, and in the center there's Texas. So you've got Florida, you've got the New York area, you've got California and Arizona, and then you've got Washington and Oregon. And that's where the main settlements are. That's being targeted, yes.
I know in Detroit, and in Dearborn, Michigan,
yes.
Up there near the Canadian border, there's an awful lot of settlements already.
Yes.
Islamic settlements.
And the Somalis are another problem that we have, the Somalis. In fact, I was just reading this morning from Ann Corcoran, who is with the Refugee Resettlement Program. She was saying that the Somalis are leaving with United States cash. And some of them are leaving with something like $10,000 in suitcases.
Where they go?
And they're taking it out of the country.
I heard from someone that one of the reasons why the oil got so high in price is because that funded the Middle Eastern terrorist activities. There was a relationship somehow, and I don't know. I can identify
think you're right, but I don't know enough about that.
What about them sending over, because apparently there's been witnesses about that, even Trump had said that in a quote, that the a lot of the immigrants are males between 25 and 40, stronger and more talented males, and most of them are males. Am I right? Is that?
72% are young men between 18 and 45. So that's 72%, and you have 97% are Muslims.
So what we didn't really talk about, and we should have, is the Muslim plan. So how did it come about? Where did it come from?
Actually, it is from the Muslim Brotherhood, but it was discovered quite by accident. On August 20th, 2004, a woman in a hijab and her husband were seen trying to film the structure of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. When a Maryland transportation officer saw them and approached them, and when he questioned the husband, he discovered his name was Ismail El Barassi, and there was a warrant out for his for a trial to be held in Chicago with his affiliation with Hamas. So they issued a warrant to search his home. And when they searched his home, there was a subfloor in the basement, and they found thousands and thousands of documents, as well as something like 80 banker boxes with all kinds of information and documents about the Muslim Brotherhood, and this document was among them. And it was used by the government in the Holy Land Foundation trials in 2008. And the Holy Land Foundation is actually a Muslim organization that was used to fund Hamas. And that's a terrorist organization.
Where is, right, that's, I forgot where they are. They're headed in Palestine, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What, I lost my train of thought on so this document was found when, this organization?
In 2004.
And the name of it was again?
The name of
the organization?
It's the Muslim Brotherhood.
Oh, the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, it was the document. He was the archivist for the Muslim Brotherhood. So he had all the historical documents in his basement, in the subfloor of his basement. So that's how it happened. We wouldn't know about it otherwise. And it's not called the Muslim Plan. It's referred to as the Muslim Plan, but it's got a longer name. It's the Strategic Globalization. So you can look it up on the clarionproject.org.
Okay. Clarion Project?
Yeah, Clarion Project. Well, it could be .com, but CLARION. They have copies of it, and they have the background.
Okay, all right. So in final comments about Sharia law, what should we tell, other than what we've already said, what we can imply to the people that they should be conscious of? What does it mean to the people watching this program, right?
If you must spread the word. Everybody has to talk it up. Everybody has to share it with everyone they know and let them be informed, because people aren't connecting the dots. They need to understand that this is a master plan to destroy the United States and to gain dominance and bring in Sharia law. It's very simple. They speculate, their goal was for 30 years from now, but they speculate it'll be closer to 50 years. So it won't be me or you that experience this. And it may not even be our grandchildren, but it'll certainly be our great-grandchildren.
Sure. And if you have this much notice, ladies and gentlemen, we could do something about it if we took action now. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Marie Zere, thank you very much. Societal and political trends are rapidly breaking down the family that once was the cornerstone of our great American culture. At FIT, we know you cannot get this information on your own, so we'll bring it to your TV every single week. And of course, we always invite all opposing views. My name is Chris DiMaggio. Thank you for watching FIT TV, and we'll see you again next week.